Welcome back, everyone. In this lecture, we're going to discuss working with PDF files. Often, you may need to read in text data from a PDF file instead of a normal text file. We can use the PyPDF2 library to read in text data from a PDF file. There's one key thing to keep in mind though, not all PDFs have text that can be easily extracted. Some PDFs are created through scanning, and instead of being exported from a text editor like Word. These sort of scanned PDFs are really more like image files, and that makes it much harder to actually extract the text. If you have a scanned PDF, that usually requires specialized software. And you can try Googling different Python libraries for reading in those type of images, but a lot of times it's really hit and miss and much more dependent on the particular PDF file than the library itself. The PyPDF2 library that we'll be working with in this lecture won't be able to extract text from a scanned PDF image. Now, the PyPDF2 library is made to extract text from PDF files directly created from some sort of word processor. But even that, you should keep in mind that not all word processors created PDFs will have extractable text. So even if you actually exported from a direct word processor, the library may still have difficulty extracting the text. Now, to begin, make sure you are using our environment file or that you've installed PyPDF2 since it's not a library that comes with base Python. To install PyPDF2, simply open up your command line and directly type pip install PyPDF2 and notice the capitalization there. Let's go ahead and get started by opening up a notebook and showing you how to work with some PDF files. What I'm going to do is inside of the Python Text Basics folder, if you click on it, you'll notice that there's some PDFs here that we have for you. Make sure you go ahead and create a new notebook in the same location as these PDF files, or know the entire file path for these PDFs. I'm going to go ahead and create a new notebook. That way I can simply call the PDFs when I'm opening them and reading them. So now that we have this new notebook created, let's go ahead and start off by running import PyPDF2. And if you get an error here, that means you need to pip install it or activate the environment. And now it's time to actually read a PDF. And reading a PDF works a lot like reading a normal text file. We're just going to say my file is equal to open, and let's go ahead and open up the US declaration.pdf. And the other thing we need to do here is there's going to be another mode, and the mode that we're going to use is mode equal to RB. And RB means reading in a binary method. And we need that because it's no longer a normal text file, it's a PDF file. So we're going to run that. And then once you've read in the file using normal Python, we're going to convert it into a PDF file reader object. So go ahead and make a variable called PDF reader and set that equal to PyPDF2 dot, and then we're going to call off of this. If you hit tab, you should see a couple of options. The one we're looking for is PDF file reader, and then pass in the file you read in. And now off this PDF reader, what you can do is if you actually just call PDF reader, hit dot, and then hit tab, there's a lot of attributes and a lot of methods. I'll show you some of the main ones here. There's number of pages, and if you run that, it reports back the number of pages inside this actual PDF document. And then you can extract text, and you can do it page by page. So for example, I can say page 1 is equal to, then call PDF reader, and call the getPage method, and then pass in the page you want. They're indexed at 0, so if you want the first page, you just pass in 0. So page 1 at index 0, and if you actually want the text, what you can do is say page 1 dot, and you can call the extract text method, open and close parentheses, and that will extract all the text it was able to read on that PDF. So here we can see the Declaration of Independence, and now we have it as a string. And notice that we have these new lines in order to indicate there's a new line. So if we actually wanted to print this out, it would print this out along with those lines. So now I can see the Declaration of Independence here. And just like with a normal file, after you're done working with it, getting the pages you want, extracting the text, maybe you want to save some text, so you can say my text is equal to extract text. Once you're done doing whatever operations you're concerned with, it's always a good idea to close the file. So just say myfile.close. Okay, so we learned how to read any page in from a PDF file, and then we learned how to extract text from that page. Often you may want to add another page to a PDF. Now, unfortunately, we cannot directly write Python string text onto a PDF because of the differences between a single string type of Python versus the variety of fonts and placements and other parameters that a PDF could have. What we can do is copy pages and append pages to the end. So you can copy a page from another PDF or the same PDF and then append it to the end of the current PDF you're working with. What you can't do is take a Python string and suddenly insert it somewhere into the PDF because there's so many different parameters that a normal PDF file could have. Let's see how we could add a page to a PDF. I'm just going to create a variable f and set that equal to open. Let's open up, the US declaration.pdf again. Remember, since it's going to be read in with a PDF, we need to say the mode is read binary. I'll create a PDF reader object again and say py pdf2 and then call PDF file reader. And then I'm going to pass in f, which was the variable we gave the file. And then I'm going to grab the first page and say PDF reader get page 0. And then I'm going to create a writer object. I will say PDF writer is equal to, and directly off the PyPDF2 library, I'm going to call PDF file writer, open and close parentheses. And now this writer object is going to be able to add pages. So I can say PDF underscore writer dot add page, and then it can go ahead and add that first page that we copied off the US declaration.pdf. And so now I have this new document, this new PDF file that I just added a page to. And what I can do is the following. I can say something like PDF output is equal to open, and I'm going to pass in some new document. So I can say my brand new .pdf. So this is a PDF file that doesn't currently exist. If you check out the Python text basics, notice I don't have that actual PDF. I have some new doc PDF, but I don't specifically have my brand new .pdf. But remember, if we open things with the write permission, it will automatically create files for us. So I'm not only just going to use W here, I'm also going to use B to say write binary. And now I have my PDF output. And if you take a look at Python text basics, you should see now kind of this empty my brand new .pdf. So that PDF is waiting to be written to. So we're going to say PDF writer, and I'm going to write to the output file I just created. So again, what am I doing here? I'm reading in a file using PDF file reader. I'm grabbing a page from that file, the first page, then I'm creating a PDF file writer, and then I'm onto that writer object, adding that first page I extracted from my original document. Then I'm opening a brand new file with the write binary permission, and then I'm going to write PDF output there, run that, and then I'm going to say PDF output. I'm going to close that file, and I'm also going to close the original file. And so now, if I take a look at my brand new PDF, if I were to read that in, it should have one single page in it. So let's go ahead and read in that file. We're going to say, just make a couple new cells here. Say brand new is equal to open. And now I'm going to open my brand new PDF. I'm just going to open it in read binary mode. Create a PDF reader object from PyPDF2. PDF file reader. And I'm actually going to read in that brand new file. And then let's check out the number of pages it has. It should have just one page. So if we say num pages, we see that one page. And then we could continue on and extract that page, but it'll be the exact same text we saw here for the first page of the US declaration. So now we know how to read text data from a PDF file, and we also know how to add to a PDF file. So now let's show one more example. It's just a simple example of grabbing all the text from a particular PDF file. We're going to say the following. f is equal to open. Let's go ahead and open that US declaration PDF that we've been working with. I'll open it with read binary permission. And let's imagine I wanted to list all the text here. What I could do is the following. I could create an empty list of just one item, 0. So this is essentially just a placeholder. So I have this PDF text list that just has this placeholder 0. And then I'm going to create a reader object. So PDF file reader, pass an F that I just read in from the US declaration, and then I can do the following. I'll say for P in range PDF reader number of pages. So essentially it's going to say, hey, for every page in this range, we can go ahead and say page is equal to PDF reader get page P, because P is essentially just that number here. It's 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way until we hit the number of pages. So I want to get that specific page, save it to this page variable, and then I'm going to grab that page. I'm going to extract the text from that page, and then I'm going to append it to this list, which is right now just a placeholder empty list right there. So we'll say PDF text, append, run that, and then we can close the file. And in fact, we can just have this be an empty list. Doesn't even need a 0 there. Run that, and if we check out our PDF text list, now we have a list of everything here, and those are all the texts in that particular file, so for every page. So if we check out the length here, it's a length of 5, so I could say for page in PDF text, print the page, and then I can say print a couple of new lines, run that, and now you'll see kind of this giant document of the Declaration of Independence, and then a bunch of spaces for each new page. All right, so that's the very basics of reading PDF files. We don't really need to know much more than that for this course. Coming up next, we're going to talk about regular expressions. We'll see you at the next lecture.